Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another cooking video. I'm going to teach you how to make homemade chocolate cake and a bunny butt cake. We're going to use 1.5 stick of unsalted butter softened. We're going to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour as well as 3 cups of confectioner sugar. We're going to use 2 4 cups of granulated sugar. We're going to use 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder plus 1/4 of a cup of cocoa powder for the frosting. We're going to use 3 eggs at room temperature. These are large eggs. That's what we always use for baking. We're going to use some vanilla. This is pure vanilla extract, and you're going to have to split it, some for the frosting. And then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking powder as well as 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Yes, you do need both. It's not like the vanilla one we made yesterday. You're also going to need some table salt, just a scant for the dressing, but the frosting. Then you're going to need a 1/4 cup of milk and 1 1/4 cups of coffee. And then we're going to use a little bit of half and half, about a 1/4 cup, or less, depending on your frosting. Okay? So you want to preheat your oven to 325. That's okay. So I'm sorry my camera got corrupted. I was in the middle of doing stuff. So here's all you missed. I creamed 3/4 of a cup of butter, which is 1.5 sticks of room temperature unsalted butter, and I whisked it until it was really fluffy. Then I added 2 1/4 cups of granulated sugar. I know that's a lot of sugar, but it's cake. It's holidays. What are you gonna do? And then I creamed that together until it was light and fluffy. Then I added 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And that's where I am right now. I've just scraped the bowl down, and I went to go to the next step, and I looked up and the camera went black, and I realized that I wasn't recording. So I'm really apologetic about that. The other thing that you missed, the only other thing that you missed, is I sprayed my Pyrex bowl. This is a 4 quart. I had remembered it, but I've just had a brain fart. This is my Pyrex bowl. I will get the measurements down here when I'm done, because I'll be able to wash it and turn it over. I sprayed it with baking cooking spray, which is the kind that has flour in it. And the next we're gonna do is 1 egg at a time, so you can join us for the rest of it. We'll be on track there. Okay, so the rest of this is going to be super high speed. So what we're doing is we're adding our egg. We cracked them into a separate bowl. You want to mix them one at a time and mix them until they're well incorporated. Okay? And then what we're going to do is, this recipe calls for us to sift our dry ingredients together. So we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to put in our baking powder as well as our baking soda and our salt, all into the sifter. You could use a crank sifter. You could use any kind you want. I just have these really fine mesh strainers that I got, and I really enjoy them. Okay. So it's 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. No, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I think that was just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Whatever the recipe said. And you want to sift them together. And now what you want to do is you want to also mix your coffee together. Now I'm making a mess with my coffee. I just brewed a large cup in the Keurig of regular Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Thank you to my friend Melody, who sent me Dunkin' Donuts coffee to make this cake extra special. And what you do then is you add the milk to the coffee, which does help cool it down a little bit, because you don't want it to be hot, because then you could melt your butter and stuff more than just room temperature. So you add your milk to your coffee so it cools it down a little bit, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to do it in thirds. So basically, you want to do the flour in thirds. You put in 1/3 of the flour, 1/2 of the liquid, another 1/3 of the flour, the second 1/2 of the liquid, and then you want to end with flour. You always want to start and end with the dry ingredients when you're doing it in this method. Okay? And then make sure you keep it on low, and you don't want to overmix. Don't forget, don't overmix. Scrape down your bowl sides as you need. Okay? And then when it all comes together, then you want to go ahead and you want to remove it from the bowl. But I wanted to tell you guys, now that I'm just voiceovering these two videos, I never want to teach you anything in rush again. So this being a holiday, and I wanted to get this video up for you for Saturday so you guys could make these for Easter Sunday if you wanted to. I couldn't really make them way far in advance because they still wouldn't be fresh for me to have on Easter Sunday. And of course, I didn't want to waste them. So I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning baking them. And now it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm editing this video. I'm not asking you to be sympathetic or anything, but I'm telling you, the rush of getting it done messed up the cake, that's what I'm saying. I didn't wait for that. We didn't have enough time to let the cake cool down before I frosted it. And if you've ever frosted a cake that's warm, you know that that's not frosting anymore. That's icing. I will show you how we fix it. And then actually I'm going to go ahead and fix it tomorrow, even better. So we're basically taking that cake mix and a little bit is going into, no, you're going to fill the bowl about halfway because it will rise, okay? And then you're going to take a wet dish towel and you're going to wrap it around the bowl in the oven. I know that sounds crazy and dangerous, but it's not. Make sure your dish towel is really wet and saturated, okay? You don't want it dripping, but you want it to be nice and wet. And what that's going to do is that's going to prevent your bowl, your outsides from burning before your insides get cooked. What I did then is I took the rest of the cake mix and I put it in a 9-inch cake pan. And I thought we were going to use that for the feet, but what we ended up doing is using that for the dirt. Because this bunny is digging his way in a hole. I'm just saying. So we just put the rest in that cake pan. We basically baked it for about 1 hour and 20 minutes altogether. But that will depend on the size of your bowl. You know, everybody's oven's a little bit different. But you want to check it in 15-minute increments. So basically we put both of them in for 30 minutes. I turned them 180 degrees halfway through. I took out the sheet, the small cake pan at 30 minutes. And then I let the other one bake. And every 15 minutes I went in and checked it after 1 hour. So I baked it for another half an hour. And then checked it every 15 minutes for doneness. And when the toothpick, the center did sink, but the toothpick comes out clean, you know it's done. Okay? Whew! Now we're making the frosting. So basically this is a half a stick of butter with, I'm sorry, it's a whole stick of butter. I messed up. It's a whole stick of butter. It's, because I can't add it. It's a whole stick of butter. Regardless of what it said in the beginning. With 3 cups of confectioner sugar. And 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. Okay? And you want to beat it until good. So here's what happened. I only put in a half a stick. Because I was supposed to use a half a cup. And for some reason that registered in my brain like a half a stick. But a half a cup is a whole stick. So what I ended up doing was saying, this isn't coming out right. Oh, that's it. My math is bad. My butter. So then you want to add the rest of your butter. No. Then you want to go ahead and you want to drizzle in. You want to add your vanilla and your salt. But this is where I was saying that you want to drizzle in your milk. So what I've done is I've scraped the sides down, scraped the bottom out, because sometimes cocoa powder can stick to the very, very bottom. So you want to make sure you get that. And now I've taken what's half and half. Like the recipe called for heavy cream, but I never use heavy cream. But I have half and half. So I slowly drizzled in the half and half as it starts to really whisk up. I put the balloon whisk on and I just let it go to town to make it nice and fluffy. When I was growing up, we had a bakery in town called Custom Bakers, and if you're from Island Park and you're watching this, hi everybody. It was the best bakery in town, and they had the most delicious, fluffy chocolate frosting, and that's what this reminds me of. That's why this recipe is my go-to recipe. It maybe would be better with heavy cream. I've only ever made it with half and half. Okay? It is just out of this world. But I will have a list of all the ingredients properly in the description box down below. Or at least I will try to. Come back. No. I will, I promise. So now what I'm doing is I'm Just scrape it down the bowl, and I'm going to put it into a small soup bowl till later, a storage bowl until I'm ready for the cake, to frost the cake, for it to cool down and everything. All right. And the first thing we're going to do before we put it away in the refrigerator is we're going to make bunny feet. Now, I told you, don't rush. I rushed. Maybe you will have to rush because you're getting this recipe just first thing Saturday morning, right? One of the things that I decided to do was to make bunny feet. I just made them all wrong, that's all. So I took three soft baked chocolate chip cookies, and I took 2 whole, and then 1 I cut in half, and then I cut them each half into like a crescent to make like the heels, because I was imagining a big cookie foot for the ball of the foot, and then a little heel popping out of the back. And I stuck them together with toothpicks, because you can, because they're soft baked cookies. Okay, so I just took a toothpick or a piece of toothpick, whatever works for you, and I just stuck it in the cookies just to hold the 2 pieces together. And then once I did that, I frosted them. The problem was I really was rushing, and I'm so sorry, you guys. I really feel like we're at a loss here, because I feel like I should have just either taught you how to make a homemade cake or taught you how to make the bunny cake. I tried to jam too much into these tutorials the day before Easter, but look, it's what it is. So here's how to make homemade frosting, here's how to make a homemade cake, and here's how to decorate them. Okay, so I've taken just frosting and I frosted the front of the feet. I didn't worry about the back of the cookie. This isn't a 360-degree cake, but it could be. You could frost the back of the cookie if you want to. I had a little bit of white frosting left over from the other cake, and I just made him toes. The problem is he shouldn't have had toes. He should have had pads, because here's the thing. If you saw the thumbnail, his feet are on backwards. Actually, they're on upside down. Because how are his feet like this with the toes facing this way when the tail is that way? It just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I rushed. But I did go ahead and I fixed it a few minutes ago, and you'll see a fixed picture at the end. I mean, it's not really fixed because it's jacked up. Don't get me wrong. Oh, just breathe, Jerry. It's all okay. So the other thing that I've decided to do was, since there's that extra cake, I wanted to use some of it for the tail, and originally I wanted to use some for the feet. So what I decided to do was to just take some of the cake remnants that are left over and almost make like a cake pop. A cake pop, if you've not seen it, ever made one before, it's like broken up pieces of cake mixed in with frosting. That's how they make cake pops. So what I did was I took the vanilla cake left over and some vanilla frosting left over, and I made a big cake ball for his tail. And now we're frosting it. And as you can see, as I'm putting this frosting on, it is melting, because I did not wait for it to cool down enough. I did wait 20 minutes, but because it's such a big, massive amount of cake, it would have taken at least a couple of hours to cool off. But there was no way I was staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning to finish this bad boy. I did save some of the frosting, and tomorrow I can fix it, because once the frosting cools on there and the cake is completely cooled, I can go ahead and repair it. Okay? And if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you can stop by there tomorrow. I'm sure I'll have pictures of the really done pretty cake. But for now, this is what it is. Okay? So I stuck the feet on, and I'm like, why are the feet all the way up there? And they should have been all the way up there, but they should have been the other way around, where you just saw like the tops of his foot. And that's why I was very confused by what I did. But a bunny butt wreath, you either see the tops of his foot like we did on the wreath. I'm sorry, a bunny butt cake. You either see the tops of his foot like we did on the wreaths, or you see the pads of his feet with his toes facing down. Okay? So this is what it looked like originally. I took the rest of that cake and I broke it up to make it look like dirt, and it was really an awesome idea to salvage this guy. But that's what they should look like right there. So I hope you did enjoy this tutorial. I'd love to know if you guys try this cake recipe. I love it. It's my absolute favorite. If you have any questions at all, and I'm sure you will, because this was a massive jacked up Easter bunny cake. Please leave them in the description box down below. And as always, take care, God bless, and see you next time. And thank you for watching. Bye.